Alright, episode 2 of the RPG Archetypes series. In episode 1 we did the tank and showed that yes, a tank build can in fact be viable in the modern Souls climate. Today we're going to be doing the DeePS archetype, more specifically strength builds. You know, big swords and whatnot. I'm gonna cut the shit right now. This will not be a difficult run, but that's not really the point. In my opinion, we're here to see if the general MMORPG archetypes work in a modern Souls climate, and DeePS just happens to be bunched in with those. DeePS tends to be what most Souls players go for, with the exception of faith builds, which are much more geared for support. I should know, I am one. Most build types are well suited for DeePS, so why even test this? Why go for a build type already proven to work? In my honest opinion, it wouldn't be right to do the other 5 runs and skip over one of the quintessential pillars of any RPG party. Even if it's a bit redundant to do so, I believe it's a good idea to ask the question of, can you beat Dark Souls 3 as a DeePS addict? Just like the first run, I've devised a 3-step plan to ensure that we're as close to our contemporary DeePS counterparts as possible. Part 1, the DeePS part. I'll be using greatswords this run. The other two-handed weapon classes are technically not outlawed, but I don't want to use them to respect your guys' decision. If you didn't know, I actually hosted a poll on what weapon you guys wanted me to use. Just like the last run, this rule will take effect once we reach Firelink Shrine. Part 2, the armor parts. Our equipment load cannot go under 30% or above 60%. This sounds a bit arbitrary, but this ensures we don't have the fastest speeds available, while also preventing us from wearing anything heavier than like chainmail or light plate armor without significant investment into vitality and rings. And part 3, the stats part. We must hit 60 strength by the end of the run. If we're to be a nuke, hitting the higher of the 2 soft caps will ensure my damage will be thrust into the quadruple digits minimum. As I said last video, I'll be doing this with other RPG archetypes in the future, such as Mage, Healer, and Rogue, so make sure to like and subscribe to let me know when you want to see those episodes. Without further ado, let's start the bloodbath. Meet our vessel for today, Cassandra. There's no stupid pun this time, the name just means to excel amongst men, since our damage will excel compared to other builds. She spent years in the mountains after leaving her homeland of Londor and has now come to Lothric to nuke the shit out of it with massive swords. We kill Addict as anyone would, and buy our first weapon of the run, the halberd. It's the only two-handed weapon we can get in Firelink, so we're forced to use the pokey axe for the time being. With our new weapon in hand, we immediately thrust it to the side for a new weapon, the Claymore, which can be found where the wyvern attacks you in the High Wall of Lothric. We got ourselves to the dexterity required to wield it and use it against Vort. We throw on some gold pine resin and go to town. Our Claymore is only +1, and despite that, Vort gets fucking chunked. I don't have my specific number sadly, as my PNG tuber blocks the right side of the health bar, something I know I should fix. But look at the yellow on the health bar. Absolutely insane damage for being so early game. We make our way to the Undead Settlement and grab Yoel. If the whole Londor thing didn't give it away, I want to get the Lord of Hollows ending, as I don't honestly do it a whole ton. We hold off on getting the 5 free levels, however, as I want to wait as long as I can before getting them, you know, to get the most value. After picking up some new fashion for Thrall, we make our way to the Cursed Rod of Greatwood. We one-shot the first ball sack before the boss even gets a chance to react. After quickly dispatching a few more, the boss almost immediately gets shredded. Instead of going to Fair and Keep to pick up our next weapon, we instead kill the Crystal Sage. He's fast and his teleporting is annoying, but it's nothing we can't really deal with. Using a gold pine resin and a charcoal pine bundle, the Sage gets immediately shredded. The original plan was to meet up with Zarya and join her covenant to get proper bow, but I decided to go to the snowfield instead. I had an Icarus moment, dying to a horde of Farron followers, and decided to switch my sights to Fair and Keep as we're no longer embered, so we won't get invaded by our new best friend Heisel. If it wasn't obvious, we are going for the big sword, the Greatsword. We heal thing 1, thing 2, and get the dex to use the Exile Greatsword to test it out. It was pretty good, but got tossed to the side almost immediately as we obtained the Berserk reference. While we're here, we take the time to kill the Stray Demon as well. The goal was to use Havel's Ring, but ended up accidentally using the soul without thinking, losing the ability to get extra equipment loaned to either the Dread Keep or Irithil. I think you can guess which one we'll be going to. I'll give you time to think about that while we join Brazaria's Fingers. This, sure, will piss off Cirrus, but a few pancakes is all we need to kill her. After that, we made my Deacons joke last video make some actual sense by literally pancaking them this time around. Oh, and yeah, before we leave the cathedral, chat told me to show the Kirk fight, so, here you go. Hello? Hello? Fucking invade me, you bitch. Okay, yeah, we're getting invaded. Hello? Hello? Let me, use some resin. I'll use my fire resin. Holy shit! Oh my god! Yeah, by the way, this greatsword is only +4, so this can get much, much worse. With damage like that, we're surely ready for Dancer, right? Well, yeah, totally, but the issue is I'm kind of bad at Dancers, so we got killed on our first attempt. If you get hit by that first slam, the second slash is offbeat and feels super weird to dodge. We get her on our second attempt, however, and make our way through Lothric Castle. Despite our vigor being low, we managed to breeze through Lothric Castle, even taking out the 2 dragons on the bridge by slapping their abyssal lizard thingies. Okay, quick side tangent, what the fuck is that thing? I know on Undead and Udix it's a plus of man, but this one's on a fucking wyvern, so what is it now? Tell me in the comments, YouTube likes engagement regardless. The nice thing about later game fights like Dragon Slayer armor is that getting hit will basically make you fully heal every time you get hit, which leads to my Lloyd Sword Ring giving me extra damage even more often. I could have used the Red Tearstone Ring and the Morian Blade, but I accidentally gave the Shrine Handmaid Orbeck's ashes and cannot remember for the life of me where the hell the Red Tearstone Ring is. So we're doing this instead. Maybe our rogue will try that out. Regardless, our health predicament also has the baggage of, well, us having low health. Even the armor's shield bashes do a ton of damage to us. We died 3 attempts to it, 2 times to his torque damage and once to gravity. On attempt 4, however, I decide to not just stand still and spam charged heavies, causing us to beat it fairly easily. Next up is Osiris. As I said before, I want to save Abyss Watchers for as long as possible so I can get the most value out of my 5 free levels. So we're doing everything we can before that. 4 hits was all it took to get Osiris into Phase 2. The nice thing about Phase 2 is it acts a lot like typical beast-type bosses. Or in other words, we stand under him and beat his ass. He does a lot of damage with his charge deck, but that was the only time we got hit the entire fight. We make a few jokes about how Osiris took his first opportunity to spike an infant into the fucking dirt and move on to the Untainted Graves. One quick talk about sandwiches and a pancake invader later, we're at Champ Gundyr. This fight went very, very fast. We can't parry him because it would require us to unbuff our sword mid-fight, and so this led to a massive back and forth between the 2 of us, with a rhythm of the 2 of us dealing damage to each other and then backing off. We killed him on our first attempt, but I won't lie, it was a bit nerve-wracking with the fight going so fast and our health bar being so small. Surely this means we'll bring our health up, right? Well, yeah, we did level up Vigor for the second to last time this playthrough. I made jokes all throughout the stream, but we are for real extremely powerful and I wanted to help at least a little bit with the challenge. So we've upped our health up to 18 and only brought up to 20 in the course of the run. It fits the build as well, to be honest. As a melee DPS build, you're more focused on damage rather than defense. That's your tank's job. Your job is to lay on the hurt and do it fast, so this has helped out thematically in some cases. Now that all of the optional bosses we can do before killing Abyss Watchers have been defeated, we'll be getting our levels from Yol, right? Wrong! I had much, much bigger plans for this character before we get those. We still have some optional bosses we haven't killed yet. Some that are much, much harder. Buckle up! We're on our way to the fucking DLC. So right now, you might be saying something along the lines of, Rachel, what the hell, are you fucking insane? And to that I say yes. But what's your point? A while back, my friend Gage beat Frida before Abyss Watchers on his very first playthrough, link in the description, and I want to take this run as a chance to one-up him a little. I'm sure he didn't see it that way, but hey, it was a fun bit of motivation. We also have a certain weapon in the Ring City I want to try that I'm sure you guys are thinking of anyway. The Ring Knight paired greatswords are exactly what it says on the tin. 2 massive swords that you wield side by side. They can be devastating when used effectively, and I want to try them out, while killing everything we could along the way. Our first boss is the Gravetender and Great Wolf. They're the closest DLC boss, so I wanted to use them to test their capabilities against a new, much more hostile climate. The issue is I'm not exactly very good at this fight, as with most duo fights. I tend to find myself getting tunnel vision like super often, but luckily we were able to kill the Gravetender very quickly, leaving only a little overlap with the both of them. They did bring us down to 1 Estus, but after the Gravetender died, we shredded the Great Wolf so quickly he didn't even get another hit off the entire fight. We get a really scuffed Visceral and take down the duo on our very first attempt. We run through the Corvian settlement, flatten Wilhelm, and make our first way to Frida. We took a lot of damage in Phase 1 in an attempt to burst down Frida in as little time as possible, so I wasn't going to Phase 2 way too confident. But, however, we were doing good damage, and the thought of being able to Visceral Ariandel made me so happy after the tank run. Both of those points, however, didn't matter much because of a charged heavy hitting both of them at the same time. This not only staggered Ariandel, but did a whopping 2,500 damage. If you look up Frida's health bar, that is about a third of that phase. I cannot even begin to explain my shock at that number appearing on my screen. So we Visceral Ariandel and open into Phase 3. I was gaining confidence after that massive damage, but I'm also very squishy despite my damage output, so it could have gone either way at this point. She got a lot of good hits off, and I got very worried towards the end that we weren't going to make it, but we managed to kill Frida on our very first attempt. After that bloodbath, we run through the Ring City, taking care to watch the angels float down in front of us. We grab the Ring of Favor +3 to give us some extra stamina equipment load to fight the Demon Princes with. Phase 1, as usual, is no issue whatsoever. We make sure to take down Demon of Pain first for Phase 2. That's the only thing we're really focused on. The demons, though being able to dish out a lot of damage, also take a lot in return, and they honestly stagger quite easily. The staggers will let us go over 2,000 health in 1 Visceral, until we chuck their health bars and move on to Phase 2. There is one big issue with Phase 2. We don't chunk his health. His resistances are so goddamn high that we're dealing fairly normal damage compared to other builds. Hell, we're not even doing much more than we did with the door shields on the last run. We still did good damage, but now we actually have to play well. This led to a death against the Prince, as he has a combo very similar to the combo that Dancer killed us with. We kill the Demon Princes with the same amount of Estus as the tank run, max out our weapon at Andre, and move on to the Ring City. Now that we have over 700 AR on our sword, I want to try my hand against the first Ring Knight. First attempt, we get killed for the same reason as the Princess and Dancer. I think I have a panic rolling problem, if anything. But on attempt 2, we kill the Knight easily and claim something that will stick with us the rest of the run. The Ringed Knighthood. With our peak head fashion now achieved, we sprint through the rest of the city with no issue. I was originally going to kill Lido, but it entirely slipped my mind until it was too late, sadly. If anyone is around level 100 on PC and has an alive Lido they want me to duel against, join my Discord, link in the description, and tell me because I want to beat up Lido, it would be really fucking funny. We beat up Madir, and then get our next and final weapon, the Ring Knight paired greatswords. We take the time to max them out, and then test them out against Madir's actual fight. We did pretty good damage, roughly 900 on our charged heavy, and the fight was going well until... Oh my god! My controller died! Chat, my controller died. My controller died. Chat, my controller died. I'm holding this shit on one hand. Let me heal. Let me heal. Fuck. Fuck, 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 fuck. My fucking controller charger. Okay, let me turn on back. My god, it lagged my game, but we're good, we're good, we're good. We're alive, we're alive, we're alive. God damn it! Oh, fuck. Yeah, my controller died. The DualSense's battery isn't super amazing, and I was playing a bit of Dark Souls before I started streaming, so my controller died mid-fight. However, that didn't really stop us for long, as we killed Madir fairly quickly on the second attempt. I've said this before, Madir is one of the fights I've co-opted the most, so I know this fight way too damn well. So if you watched the last video, you'd assume we'll skip past halfway again, right? He is super easy. Not exactly. You know what, I'll just show you my first attempt. Oh, god damn it. This is fine. Holy, oh my god. Holy shit, Half-Light killed me. Half-Light killed, Chat, Half-Light killed me.
Yeah, Half-Light does a lot of damage to us since we're very squishy. It managed to kill me not once, but twice. I honestly wasn't particularly frustrated though. It was actually really funny, even though it did suck having to listen to Argo's speech every single fucking time. We did get to make a few jokes about how Half-Light is now harder than Frida, Medir, Dancer, and multiple other bosses. Eventually, we stunlocked him enough times to win the fight and move on to Gale. Can I remind you that we're pre-Abyss Watchers again? Yeah, cool. Finally, Gale was the boss that would give me any sort of trouble. That 20 vigor was really biting me in the ass now, if I'm gonna be honest. In addition, we're also unable to get many hard hits off on him as his combos don't have much downtime in between each other. We got close multiple times before dying to me getting ahead of myself at the very end. As the attempts went on, I started taking more and more advantage of the rolling R1, which is a poke with my main hand greatsword. It's fast enough to be used in between combos without sacrificing too much damage in return compared to a standard R1 or L1. It took 5 attempts with a quick berry to calm my nerves. You lose that close multiple times in a row and the adrenaline really starts to pile up, and Gale goes down. We have now done the entirety of Dark Souls 3's DLCs without defeating the fucking Abyss Watchers. The entirety of this escapade was 2 hours. We spent 2 out of the 8 hours this run doing the DLCs. That is absurd to say the least. We are supposed to be fighting some of the toughest bosses in the trilogy. We can now go back to Firelink and get our 5 free levels from Yol, which we put into Vitality for the fashion, I guess. With our new fashion acquired, we move into Fair and Keeble once again. We two-shot the big Gru there, so I think you can tell how the Abyss Watchers went. You know what, actually, in fact, why don't I just show you it, instead of talking about it?
You know what? No, we're not even gonna bother buffing. This is gonna be sad. This is gonna be sad enough as is. Oh, Jesus Christ! Like, I knew we were going to shred them, but we fucking 3-shot each face! God, motherfucking Abyss Watchers are just being an asshole. Come on. You fucking... I'm also playing extremely dumb. I don't have to bother. Rip the Abyss Watchers!
Yeah, despite the fact that I choked at the end due to just wanting to shred them as fast as possible, we beat the Abyss Watchers with literally no issue. The game thought that this was a crime against humanity, however, and crashed itself soon after. We didn't lose much, however, so we trek on through the catacombs to Wolnir. I don't need to go over this fight, you already know how this ends. We then make our way into the Smoldering Lake to Bonk Horus, the Karthus Sinward, and the old Demon King in that order. We sprint through Irithel Dungeon, and if you watched the last video, then you know I am here. We're going to Arcdragon Peak yet again. The Ancient Wyvern is, well, the Ancient Wyvern, so we'll kill it with no issue. Yeah, we'll pretend that didn't happen. Needless's first base is a fucking joke, like, look at that damn damage, we do not need to talk about this. Phase 2, however, killed me on my first attempt. Just like with the Ring City, our low vigor is still kicking our ass and we get 2-shot basically as soon as Phase 2 starts. On the second attempt, however, I'm more prepared for what's going to happen and I R1 my way to a victorious second attempt. So we can actually use the Storm Ruler against the arm. It is a great sword, it's fully within our right. But however, I wanted to challenge myself a little, so I took him on without the Storm Ruler. If you want to know how this fight goes, just watch the tank video. This fight literally went the exact same. We wait for him to finish a combo, smack his hand or his leg, rinse and repeat. Simple fight, but I absolutely love it all the same. Pontiff Sullivan didn't even stand a chance. We can two-shot his clone, and he's wearing cloths, so our attacks slice right through him for big damage. He went down in less than a minute. Now, believe it or not, we're actually already in the final trio of bosses. I know, right? Bit anticlimactic. Aldrich, the Twin Princes, and the Soulless Cinder. We finally do what the hell Yuria wants us to and become the Lord of Hollows, and after a beautiful ending with now husband Henri, we take a honeymoon to kill his childhood kidnapper. Aldrich is meant to be fought at around level 50. We were approaching double that. We managed to get him into phase 2 before he teleported once, which is absurd, and he died soon after. I did almost feel bad for him to be fair, but he used arrows during the fight, so nah, screw him. Lothric and Lorien have some good closing distance, which can lead to small stretches of me taking more damage than I should, but that's about all they really had going for them. Our damage is still massive, their damage isn't jaw-dropping, and although we would have died, I didn't bother to try a little towards the end. We still managed to kill the twins after Lothric revived Lorien only once in an absurdly fast amount of time for my standards. One boss remains. As I said in the last video, I like to save Soulless Cinder for last. It's more thematic that way. Sadly, not even the culmination of every last Lord of Cinder, including Gwyn, and probably Guard Block or Tank, can stop me from first trying this boss. So many combos of his to leave room for entire charged heavies in phase 1, which can absolutely chunk his health, and phase 2 doesn't even fare much better. The big difference being instead of charged heavies, we just sword poke him instead, which still kinda chunked his health. After a very quick fight, Cinder falls and I finish the run. Do I think that I proved a DPS build is good in Dark Souls? Well, no shit, everyone plays DPS. It's extremely fun to chunk bosses regardless, and I was astonished by the amount of damage. As I said before at the beginning of the video, I tend to play support builds, so seeing bosses get chunked was an experience that I don't see very often, and I found fucking marvelous. I was talking about this on stream, but the only time I really had experienced this true level of power before in a FromSoft game was when I did a Rivers of Blood run before I got nerfed. All in all, though, I expected this run to be easy, but I still found it extremely fun, and I think it's a blast to play with. A cool idea I want to try is to have someone on tank and someone on DPS, see how well they would do together. Maybe add a support in there, too. We would need to get a support class, however, and that's not our next run. Our next run, actually, is the Mage. We'll be using Dark Spells, Pyromancy, and Sorcery with 2 lesser-used melee weapons to help offset limited spell uses. So stay tuned. If you enjoyed, please consider liking the video as it lets me know you enjoyed, and consider subscribing if you're new so you can catch all my latest streams and uploads. And if you're not new, why not consider joining my memberships? For as low as $3 a month, you can get things such as emotes, video updates, private live streams, and more. My name is Rachel, you're whoever the hell you are, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!